good to see you, and I appreciate you coming out this morning. There are a lot of other places you could have been. You might have been wanting to reward yourself for a tough week or a good week. But usually at week's end, sometimes we feel like we might need a little reprieve. And that's perfectly all right. In fact, I'm going to say right now, I would always like to see you, but in our quest to understand not the church system, but understand the true meaning of assembling yourselves together. When you need a break, take it, please. Let me say that again. When you need a break, take it. Most of us are, all of us are progressing in age. And while we're not bound by a number, wisdom says most of us are at a stage where we need to listen a little more to our bodies. And we can still get 120 if we want to. It says by reason of strength. And by wise living, which means that we have to do all things in moderation. So sometimes, your body might be saying, hey, I need a break. I'll just speak for myself. I won't be offended. I'm not offended. I'm not offended at all. And I'm not just saying that. There's a lot going on in a lot of lives. And sometimes, how can I say this? Sometimes our schedule might need to be broken. And I'm going to say that it's almost like you'll know when that needs to occur. And I will say this to kind of help you out. If you have a situation with somebody, don't let that be the reason you don't come. Because that's not a wise reason for taking a break. According to the Most High's order, not according to societal norms. Because society has gotten kind of, things have been flipped on its head. And we're going to get a little bit into that. We're going to go back to Proverbs 23:23, because now we're still at a point where most of us still want to know, what should I be doing now? What should I be doing now? And, I've been trying to encourage everybody to not only get things ready for the feast days that are approaching, but I always try to take the opportunity to remind us, kingdom people, that we not only have an obligation to do well for ourselves, because he's given us everything pertaining to life and godliness, but do it in such a way that we have something left over to help somebody else. Because a lot of people are having a hard time. And I have said last year and into this year, and this month of March is the first quarter of the Gregorian calendar year. We've got 3 more quarters to go. I want to thank Bernita for talking about the Wednesday night forum. Wednesday evening, it was raining pretty rough in this area. It was. And we had some real soldiers make it out. And at first it was just a few fellas. And then some ladies came, and of course, the conversation was pretty lively. And, you know, the good thing about Wednesday nights, you know, everybody can have their say. And, of course, it's still all Torah-based. You know, even if we give an explanation that sounds society-wise, in the end, the best way to handle the situation, we always will refer back to his teachings and instructions. And in that, I was asking some questions because I watch, you know me, I always watch what's free. You know, and I'm not against, you know, if you got Netflix and you know, all the what they call them premium channels, you know, that's fine. That's your business. So I'm not here railing against anything, but I watch a lot of YouTube because they have a lot of good documentaries on finance. They have a lot of stuff on the Bible. Like everything else, some of it's good, some of it's very informative, and some of it is still church system based. I'll just say it that way. But I've been noticing what's going on. Every industry, the people that have done well or the people that are in that industry, it seems to be conflict is on the rise. I don't care if it's sports. Well, it always is politics, but sports, politics, entertainment, even the news, what we call news. Church system. You know, a lot of accusations are being made. I saw a pastor. He was addressing his congregation, and the subtitle of his sharing, he was telling the members that he was not their husband, which, you know, I thought was kind of odd. But then and of course, the way they do some of the captions is designed for you to, I guess, click on it, you know. And so I clicked on it, and I'm going to be, I don't watch a lot of those guys or ladies. I don't, and it's not that I think I'm smarter or deeper or whatever, but that piqued my curiosity because it was shown through another gentleman that I follow. And it was because he had a series of situations where people were under the assumption that God, well, some of them were under the assumption that God sent them there for that pastor, and the guy was already married. And I guess it had been occurring so much. He was at a point where he was wanting to take some kind of legal action, and I was like, wow, that's kind of scary. Because see, we kind of chuckle at that, but I'm going to tell you something. See, our emotions, they can kind of trick you. They can kind of trick you so much you'll actually believe that's what you heard. And he was polite starting out. I didn't catch all of it. Once I got the gist of it, I was like, wow, okay. But I said, man, there's just upheaval everywhere. Everywhere. And one of the sisters said, well, maybe you need to cut back on YouTube. I said, well, yeah, they got a point, but I'm pretty careful about. I have certain topics that I'm interested in, and they have a lot of good. They got a lot of good people giving out good, accurate information, and so I can kind of get through them, and I'm gaining a lot, and it's helping me. And it's going to help me, as I said before, it's going to help me learn to live with you this year. And that's what I'm trying to do, so that at year's end, we're all sitting better than we were at the beginning of this year. And, again, I'm not going to be trying to get in anybody's business or financial affairs. I am asking you to be more cognizant of the way that you're spending, and it has more to do with not just the accumulation of dollars and cents and wealth. My goal and my aim is that you will get a broader perspective of what's happening to each one of us every day. Every day we're being bombarded with things that we're being told that we need to be happier in life. You got to get this. You got to, now this is outdated. And I was sharing with you earlier that what's happening now, the days of wanting an item, saving your money, getting the item, paying for it, and being done with it, they're almost over. They don't want that anymore. They want you to either subscribe or set up a system where you're constantly paying. And again, all of this is not to scare anybody. I just want the people of the Most High to be aware of what's going on. And I want you to incorporate that in every thing that you do. Basically, the long and short of it, they're after your wallets. They're after your purses. And they don't really want all of it, but they just want to make sure that some of it is always coming to them. I'm not going to call a name again, and I know this is about the third or fourth time I've said it. There's a car manufacturer that, and most of their cars are, well, all of them now, very, very, very expensive. But there are certain features in the car that you now have to pay a fee. It's already in the car, but they're not going to activate it until you fork over extra, I don't know, whatever it is. But that, guys, that's unheard of. But see, they got the concept from our cell phone. You know, because not all of us own our cell phones. I happen to, but, you know, it's kind of janked up, and a couple of people have made some comments about the company that I got my phone with it. I'm not going to call that company name. And there have been times somebody has tried to reach me, and in fact, I was talking to, I may have been talking to a church member, and my phone cut off. You know why my phone cut off? Because my minutes ran out. My minutes ran out. And I said, oh, Lord, have mercy. And, of course, and I was telling my brothers about it, and Arthur was like, man, look, get this plan and do this and do that. And Sherry was laughing, you know. I'm used to the clowning, you know. So it's all good. But and we laugh, and we can laugh. We can have fun. We can laugh in church. But the desire to have a direct bearing on your financial situation, that's a serious matter. Proverbs 23:23 says, buy the truth and sell it not. Also, wisdom and instruction and understanding. And that's something that we need, and I know that sounds pretty heavy, but we need to remember that. And again, I'm not saying that everybody that wants you to buy their product and or service, I'm not saying they're evil people, but we live in a capitalistic society. But it's not a purely capitalistic society, and thank goodness it's not, because, see, a lot of us are retired, and we get what? Social Security. That's not capitalism. That's socialism. And some of the very same, and I'm not going to call any parties, but there's one party that for a lot of years was against Social Security, but now some of them are collecting Social Security because they're now out of whatever office they were holding. And I will confess to you, when I was in my 30s, climbing the corporate ladder, thinking that life was going to always be that way, because I bought into the system too, and I was trying to live that life. Anybody remember that show, L.A. Law? Anybody remember the Dynasty? Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, well, that's the kind of life I was trying to live. But I got in on the low level because I started out working for an insurance company. And, most companies, they're going to pay you just enough salary that you're going to keep coming back. And we're not going to go over that because y'all know that story pretty good. But I eventually got on the agency side. And that's where the real money is. And I know I'm not going to stay on insurance because I know right now most of us are mad at our insurance carriers because we feel like I didn't have any losses. My premiums have doubled and tripled, and in some cases they have. But thank goodness you live in Virginia and not like Florida or California. And I'm not going to do a commercial for insurance, but it is needful. It's needful, particularly in this litigious society, this capitalistic, litigious society. And again, this is not a shot at lawyers. We need them. In fact, you can't even speak in court if you don't have an attorney. But even the court system, even if you win, you lose. Because the cost of court, that's going to be paid. That stenographer, they going to get paid. The bailiffs, they going to get paid. You know the judge going to get paid. And the attorneys don't do anything unless they get paid. Win, lose, or draw. And so on that bit, if you've got a situation with a person, it's best to try to work it out without involving the courts, if you can. Now, sometimes you're forced into a situation, as this church was forced into a situation. But I don't want to get into that right now either. But that, too, is part of this whole system of diverting your funds from what you want to use them for, and you have to put it in the game because that's the way the system works. Right now, most of us are still working, and we're trying to pay off our mortgage. Some people may have paid off their mortgage, but and that's wonderful. That's great. You can breathe easy, and when you get your retirement check and your Social Security and your investments and all of that, you can go to the beach if you want to. But don't forget to pay your personal property tax. Because if you don't pay your personal property tax, they can take that home that you paid for. See, I'm going somewhere with this. Even the education system, and I know I have to tread lightly with that because a lot of us are big proponents of education. But on another day, I'm going to break that down because a lot of people are very well educated. And those student loans are kicking their rear end. And I pray none of them lose their present employment situation in this topsy-turvy market. See, we've been told everything is good. The market is strong. And again, I'm not trying to make a political statement. Politics has nothing to do with it. This is the way a capitalistic society is run. We are all consumers, one way or another. (23:23). Buy the truth and sell it not. Also wisdom, instruction, and understanding. I want to go back talking about Joseph and the situation that was occurring in the land. We all know Joseph was a dreamer. And a lot of times he would get around his brothers and he would talk about the dreams that he had. And it used to irritate his brothers because they thought that Joseph thought that he was better than them. And they also had a little bit of envy because the father seemed to favor Joseph. And I think I made the thing about, most parents, I'm pretty sure most parents have a favorite, but they'll never say who the favorite is unless they tell each one that they the favorite. And of course, we know that his brothers, he told them about that dream where they basically would be bowing down to him, and that really set him off. And sometimes brothers will stick with each other, but brothers can sometimes get in a scuffle. It can happen. my three brothers are pretty even tempered. I was always the troublemaker. Uh, but, I love them, man, and there's nothing I won't do for them. But I'm sure there were times where I wasn't their favorite. Give an ear. It says in 42, it says, now, when Jacob saw there was corn in Egypt, Jacob said unto his sons, why do you look one upon another? He said, I have heard that there is corn in Egypt. Get down and go buy some for us. I'm paraphrasing. And Joseph's 10 brothers went down to buy corn in Egypt. But Benjamin, Joseph's brother, Jacob didn't send with his brothers, for he said, lest something befall him. Now, of course, we remember now, Jacob already think Joseph is gone. So he's like, man, my favorite was gone. Benjamin's the youngest. I'm not going to let anything happen to him. Why am I using this? I'm using this now because, see, a lot of stuff has happened in families. Some of it has been resolved, but some of it is still unresolved. And again, I'm not prying, I'm not picking, I'm not poking, and I'm not asking. I just want you to listen. See, some of this turmoil that's going on it's for all of us, because the church thing to say is we all ought to look to God. Yeah, we should. But saints, we also need to look into ourselves. See, some of this turmoil and stuff is designed because there's so much unrest in families. Not all families. I'm not saying that, because some are living their best life and they truly love one another and they're doing all they can for one another, and that's the way it should be. And, the more we lose members, hopefully, the more precious you begin to gaze upon those that are remaining. I'm serious. I'm serious. Joseph plucked his brother's nerves. And now, remember now, see, sometimes saints, I'm living my life for God, I'm following God. But we irritate folks sometimes, even with that. And we're not supposed to do that. We are not supposed to do that. And we're not supposed to be that way toward each other either. See, because the truth of the matter is, hey, we're all hitting and missing. Sometimes we on point, and sometimes we're not. Most of us are consistently inconsistent. I didn't say you are inconsistent. I said most of us. We oftentimes are consistently inconsistent. And so when we get a little perch on something, that one I got. And we sing that song all the time. We major on the stuff we think we got right. But then he did a little thing. He said, basically, if you miss one of them, you basically missed them all. Paraphrasing again. I hope you ain't mad, Danny. I'm just messing with it. And then it says here, and Joseph was the governor over the land, and it was that sold in all the people of the land, and Joseph's brothers came and bowed down themselves before him with their faces to the earth. Now, this is the same Joseph that told them that, hey, man, one day y'all going to have to do. Now, of course, Joseph didn't know it was going to go down like this. But the very thing, see, have you ever had, don't raise your hands, just think about this. Have you ever stood up in all your arrogance and said, I'll never, I wish I would see, and maybe a week or a month later, something happens. Or here's another one. Have you ever given somebody counsel? Man, I wouldn't stand for that. I'll leave her tomorrow. Or, girl, I wish, couldn't be me. No, the statement they like to make, I'm not the one. Yeah. You know, we've given somebody counsel, wrong counsel. And then parents and grandparents. Oh, my child wouldn't. Not my daughter, not my son. My sister works at a high school, and she's in administration. And, you know, kids, they got cameras everywhere, all in the stairwells, everywhere you think you can hide, they got cameras. And, you know, they recording. And so kids, you know, they get found out and they put them out. You know, the parents have to come back and, you know, get them in there. And, of course, the parents coming out, meaning they hot, you know. And so, you know, they got a little program. They let them come in with all their bluster and all of their whatever, and don't you know who I am? And, oh, yeah, okay. And they just say, well, I tell you what, Miss Jones, would you come in this room? We have a DVD player set up, and we're just going to put on the DVD. And the administrators, they leave the room. And so when that parent or grandparent or whatever actually see with their two eyeballs what that precious little angel or whatever was doing, you know, Sherry said it's amazing the change in attitude when they walk back in the room. Why am I sharing this? Because, folks, we've got to buy the truth and don't sell it. We've got to stop. Now, listen, it's nothing wrong with having good thoughts toward your loved ones. But in dealing with yourself, we gotta realize, hey, I'm subject to mess up. Listen, if I don't stay close to Torah, I'm going to get off. And saints, it's more to it than just being able to quote scripture. Because a lot of us that can quote scripture backwards, sideways, and forwards, we mess up a whole lot. So don't take solace because you can remember and recite scripture. Now, because see, you won't just recite it because you're living it. That's more effective. That's what's going to draw people to you. All of a sudden, somebody hey, John, can I see you a minute? I got a situation I want to talk to you about. And, well, yeah, bro, I got 15 minutes after service. My wife get hungry, and I got to take her to get something to eat. You know. But I'm being serious. People are going to come to you. People, and see, it's not always a financial need. Sometimes people may be at a crossroads in their life, and they want somebody that they perceive have their head on straight, that they want to talk to. They want your perspective on it, not just, did you like what she was wearing? Well, maybe you didn't. Maybe it didn't look good on her, But it might be something kind of deep, and you might find yourself, well. But then you got to remember, hey, this is this kind of stuff Barry was talking about, and not so much that I'm not saying it because I'm profound or anything. I'm just saying people gonna need us. People gonna need us, and they need us now. And a lot of people that have thought, I don't have time for all that church stuff. What they're really saying, and they're right about that, they shouldn't have time for the church system, but they should have time for the one that made them. Joseph was governor over the land. And then it says in 7, it says, and Joseph saw his brethren, and he knew them, but made himself strange unto them, and spake roughly unto them. Now, now here's where I like to see, now that little passage there, it says, Joseph spoke roughly to them. Now, we all know Joseph had the favor of the Most High. But yet, he took the opportunity. He was like, y'all sold me into slavery. Y'all left me in the pit. Reuben, I remember you smacked me upside my head and told me it was one of the other brothers. I'm just paraphrasing there. But Joseph still, even with the favor of the Most High, said, I'm gonna kind of get him a little bit. And see, this shows the humanity of Joseph. And see, the system always kind of teaches this thing like, and Joseph walked upright every day. No, stop. Most of these people in here were people. They had good days. They had bad days. They did a lot of good things, and they done some messed up stuff. And I'm glad that they put that little extra in there. See, that kind of stuff I'm always looking for. Because I need all the help I can get. And Joseph spake roughly unto them, and he said unto them, whence come ye? Where you coming from? And they said, from the land of Canaan to buy food. Now, we do know Pharaoh had put, hey, Joseph, you run things. Joseph was running the economy. Joseph was running the economy. Who's running our economy? Don't. And then it says in 10, and Joseph remembered the dreams which he had dreamed of them, and said unto them, you are spies, to see the nakedness of the land you are come. And they said, no, and listen at this, and listen to how they responded, because if they knew it was Joseph, they might have slapped him upside the head, but they didn't. He hid himself from them, and listen to how they responded, according to King James translation, which we all know. It says, and they said unto him, nay, my Lord. Now, if them brothers had known that was Joseph, They'd have did like Kerry Burke say all the time. When Kerry got something he wants to say to me, he gets up close. He'll say, and I like that saying. Now he don't call me no derogatory names, but he'll just say, don't let the shirt and tie fool you. I understand what he's saying. That's what Joseph's brothers would have said to him if they knew it was him. So wait a minute. I mean, I know you governor here, but I can still dust you. You know, your older brothers always figure they could take you. You know, I was always like that with Arthur, you know. I mean, I fought them all, but I was real mean to Arthur. And now Arthur's about twice my size. And I hope he don't remember none of the stuff I used to do to him. But we've gotten over that, you know. It says, nay, my Lord, but we come to buy food. And then he says, we are all one man's son, giving him his life history. True men, saying we good guys. You know, if they had said that we's Christian folks. We are all one man's sons and are true men. Thy servants are no spies. And he said unto them, nay, but to see the nakedness of the land you to come. He said it again. Now, see, if it had been the day, Joseph would have said, oh, so now you calling me a liar. You know how we kind of act up, you know. And they said, thy servants are 12 brethren, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest of this day with our father, and one is not. In other words, he ain't here, the youngest is here. And Joseph said unto them, this is it that I spake unto you, saying, ye are spies. Hereby ye shall be proved. By the life of Pharaoh ye shall not go forth hence, except your youngest brother come here. Oh, so y'all came down here to buy some food. And you got to talking. See, sometimes, saints, we talk too much. When you're not sure about how a situation's going to go, don't show all your cards. We are so in a hurry to show people, I'm good folk. I'm a good person. Keep that close to your vest. See, you know in your heart you're a good person. You don't have to broadcast it. Because the tighter things get in society, society's looking for folk like you. And see, don't get offended. I don't mean that in a negative way. You got good hearts. You have a desire to help. But folks, we're not here to be somebody's sucker. Okay? We're not here for people to just take advantage of us. That does not please the Most High. I wish the system would stop teaching that, oh, God just loves it. And I know where they get it from was when some of the disciples came back rejoicing because they got beat up. I don't think there'll ever be a time in my life where I'm going to be rejoicing because I got beat up. I like to win. I like to do the beating. See, but his brothers, and see, here's another thing. Sometimes, saints, when we get a little uneasy, we just start, we tell everything. I remember when we was coming up. Boy, if you did something wrong, don't let Sherry see it. And I mean, we tried everything. She'll accept a bribe. She'll take the money and still tell on you. So the brothers got to talking. Yeah, well, hey, we brothers. And the youngest one, he's still with our father down in Canaan. And Joseph said unto them, okay, all right. I tell you what. Send one of you and let him fetch your brother, and ye shall be kept in prison, that your words may be proved whether there be any truth in you, or else by the life of Pharaoh, surely ye are spies. See, he kept reminding them, listen, I'm Pharaoh's right-hand man. I'm running things here. You know, and we like saying that, particularly the brothers. We love telling people we in charge. Let me help you with that. You know, a real leader, you don't have to announce it. See, it's kind of funny because, see, sometimes a lot of people think they leading. And I'm like, can you let something devastating happen to watch them scurrying for cover? It's kind of funny. That type of person, that's the person that will talk up a bunch of stuff, and then when the fight starts, they gone. See, everybody want to lead when it's smooth sailing. But when trouble comes or trouble on the horizon, you ain't going to have a whole lot of people stepping up. You know, that's for another day. But there's truth in that. All right. And so long and short of it, it says, bring the youngest unto me, so that your words be verified, and ye shall not die. And they did so. And of course, getting up, and I'm going to take my time with this. I don't have but 10 minutes, so we're not going to rush through this. But of course, when they went back to tell their father what had happened, he said, no, at first, Benjamin can't go. Benji can't go. Wasn't there a movie called Benji? Benji can't go. And, it took him some convincing, and I think it was Reuben. Reuben was the one said, well, I'll stay. Oh, no, was Reuben the one said, Dad, I'll take him, and if I don't bring him back, think you can take my 2 sons or whatever. Okay. Thank you. There you go again, trying to run things. But that's all right. I understand you. And I love Bernita. And sometimes she loved me. All right. And so, and then it says, in 22, and Reuben answered them saying, spake I not unto you, saying, do not sin against the child, and you would not hear, therefore, behold, also his blood is required. And they knew not that Joseph understood them, for he spake unto them by an interpreter. And I mean, he played this thing up. But can you imagine your own flesh and blood, and all of a sudden, let them come in. When it's just me and him, I'm going to tell him a thing or two. That's how most of us will feel. But Joseph, he did all this through an interpreter. In other words, Joseph stayed in his office initially. Because see, he was still remembering, hey, they put me down in the pit. They used to laugh at me. They smacked me upside. I'm adding the smack upside the head because that's what me and my brothers would do. But they, when I would tell them about this, and that's another thing, saints. I'm not saying don't. Sometimes the Most High will give you something. Sometimes you're supposed to keep that to yourself. I have witnessed here where people have got up and said, we're supposed to do this, that, and this. And I said, well, Father, don't they know that was for them? That situation was for that person. We didn't do what they did. And a lot of times we don't understand. Yes, sometimes, well, I don't want to get into that either. But I'm just saying sometimes, yes, he gives us things, but it's not for you to hang a shingle next week. It's not for you to decide, hey, I'm out now. Oh, yeah? What they say, some are called, some are sent, and some just went. But see, the system teaches you to do that. Just like that pastor that was talking to his congregation about several people that came in with the assumption that they were there to assist him, and that position was already filled. But see, that's what the system does. The system even perverts the way you study. Let me say that again. The church system even perverts the way you study. We've been given some stuff, and if you dig a little further, you'll find some of it's not accurate. And it gets you to a place, good gracious, it gets you to a place where you're kind of saying, well, okay, let me read this again. Let me, have you ever read something and you read it 100 times, but you read it another time and it's like stuff light up off the page to you. It's like, wait a minute, I've been reading this for, 20 years, and boom, a certain aspect, certain words jump off the page to you. The long and short of it, he lets Benjamin go. And Joseph just wanted to see Benjamin. And, things was pretty rough. And the next time I come, we're gonna get down to where he couldn't hold back anymore, because see, he had his fun. He had and he loved his brothers. And it's just so heartwarming when he sent everybody out, because then he was getting ready to reveal himself to them. And we'll go over that the next time I have the honor of coming before you. But saints, what I'm saying to you is, you're saying, well, what does all of that have to do with what's going on today? It's got everything to do with it. I'm saying to you, a lot of things that we've been told that we have counted on for decades and decades and decades, you might want to double check that stuff. Capitalism runs smoothly as long as everyone is a consumer. I'm not knocking being a consumer. I've got to work on it. I like spending money. But we got to keep in mind, people need help. It's not always financial. They may need advice. They may need counsel. I'm going to close with this. I ain't got but 2 minutes. This past week, a very good friend of mine called because they had a situation where a family member, they found out, was living in one of those U-Haul rental storage thing. That's right. I didn't stutter. Living in a U-Haul rental thing. And they had been trying to contact him the last 3 years. And they heard from him a couple of weeks ago. And then they got the whole story. And I'm not going to go into all of that, but I sat there patiently. I was listening. I'm sitting on the edge of my seat because I was saying to myself, oh, my goodness, this is what we're going to talk about Wednesday night, and this is what I'm going to talk about Saturday. Because, see, I've been saying stuff like this is going to happen to us. And sometimes it starts with family, but it could be something else. But she called me and said, well, what would you do? And see, when my friends like to gig me, Reverend Green. Oh, I can't stand that. And I listened to the whole thing, and just about everything, unfortunately, marriage busted up, lost the house, most of the debt was shifted to her, I'm like, oh my goodness, and there's a lot more to it because my friend obviously want to help their relative, but her mother's still here, and she has 2 brothers. The cousin in trouble has 2 siblings and mother. I didn't ask, none of my business, but they won't help her. Remember when I was saying earlier about some of this calamity stuff is happening so that families could begin to mend some things? So, I know, I see it, Reg. I gave her what I would do in that situation. And one of the first things I did, I shared with my friend, share with your cousin the importance. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter who wronged who, but because she's in need, you gotta contact your family. And you gotta apologize, or you gotta open up some dialogue. She's living in a rental unit. Folks, how tough does situations have to get for us before we can, come on. You got that much pride? That's wrong. You rather, and again, I'm not saying that this is where that young lady was at, but I'm saying, if I got some family somewhere, them the first folks I'm gonna call. And if I wrong them, if I gotta eat crow, I tell them, get big pots and pans because I'm coming to eat crow. Because I don't want to stay in a rental unit. we had a situation kind of similar to that here. And I shared with the person, I said, listen, you got to understand. I said, here anyway. I said, family mean a lot here. And I'm hoping that the person went and got things right with their family, and and sometimes maybe things won't be happy ever after, but at least Mike can get to a place where it says, listen, I can't have my bloodline out there like this. See, folks, and I'm going to shut up. In this society, we are taught, and this is something that Bernita had brought out a couple of weeks ago on a Wednesday. See, along with them trying to get us to spend our money all the time, they're also training us to live as individuals. The whole thing, I'm going to take care of myself. But you really don't take care of yourself. Let me share something with you, and then I'm going to shut up for real. Whatever you do and whatever you don't do, it still reflects on your family. I'm telling you, it still reflects on your family. So we'll pick it up next week. I didn't mean to run over. God bless you. Thank you for coming.